from these we can reasonably consider what the future condition of the bodies that will rise in the damned will be. For it is necessary that these bodies also be proportionate to the souls of those who are to be condemned. But the souls of the wicked have indeed a good nature, as having been created by God. But they will have a disorderly will, and deficient in its proper end. Their bodies, therefore, as far as what is natural, will be restored intact, because they will be resurrected at a perfect age, without any diminution of limbs, and without any defect and corruption which the error of nature or infirmity has introduced. Whence the Apostle says, 1 Corinthians 15:52, "The dead will rise incorruptible," which is clear that everything must be understood, both good and bad, from what precedes and follows in the letter. But because their souls will be turned away from God according to their will, and destitute of their proper purpose, their bodies will not be spiritual, as if entirely subject to the Spirit, but rather their souls will be carnal through affection. Nor will the bodies themselves be nimble, as if the obedience of the soul were without difficulty, but rather they will be weighty and heavy, and in a certain way the souls will be importunate, just as the souls themselves are turned away from God through disobedience. They will also remain as sufferable as now, or even more so. Nevertheless, they will indeed endure affliction from sensible things, but not corruption, just as their own souls will be tormented, completely frustrated by their natural desire for happiness. Their bodies will also be dark and dark, just as their souls will be alien from the light of divine knowledge. And this is what the Apostle says in 1 Corinthians 15:51, which we shall all rise again, but we shall not all be changed, for only the good will be changed to glory, but the bodies of the wicked will rise without glory. But perhaps to some it may seem impossible that the bodies of the wicked are passible, yet not corruptible, since every passion casts off the substance from the substance. Pain, even if it is too intense, separates the soul from the body. But all this happens on the supposition of the transmutability of matter from form to form. But the human body after the resurrection will not be transmutable from form to form, neither in good nor in evil, because in both it will be completely perfected by the soul as far as the being of nature is concerned, so that it is no longer possible to remove this form from such a body, nor to introduce another, divine by virtue of the body being totally subject to the soul. Hence also the power which is in the first matter to every form will remain in the human body in a certain way, bound by the power of the soul, lest it be reduced to the act of another form. But because the bodies of the damned will not be completely subject to the soul in regard to certain conditions, they are afflicted according to the sense of the contrary of the sensible. For they are afflicted by bodily fire, inasmuch as the quality of fire, because of its own excellence, is contrary to the equality of complexion and harmony, which is connatural to the sense, although it cannot resolve it. However, such an affliction will not be able to separate the soul from the body, since the body must always remain under the same form, although he cannot solve it. However, such an affliction will not be able to separate the soul from the body, since the body must always remain under the same form, although he cannot solve it. However, such an affliction will not be able to separate the soul from the body, since the body must always remain under the same form. But just as the bodies of the blessed will be raised above the heavenly bodies because of the renewal of glory, and so the lowest, darkest, and penal place will be proportionately assigned to the bodies of the damned. Whence also in Psalm it is said, "Let death come upon them, and they will go down to hell alive." And Revelation 20, it is said that the devil who seduced them was sent into the lake of fire and brimstone, where both the beast and the false prophet will be tormented day and night, forever and ever.